Welcome to chapter 42 of the book of Genesis. Joseph's brothers seek food in Egypt. A chapter which is very interesting because God turns things around. Sometimes things can go bad for somebody who's doing something bad, and sometimes he can turn around for good. It just depends on how God wants things to turn around and how he acts. These brothers, as we know, sold their brother Joseph into slavery because they envied him, because the father Jacob loved him more because he was the child of his old age, and they disliked him because he had these dreams that showed that they were all going to bow down to him. So they sold him to the Ishmaelites, who took him into Egypt. He ended up with Potiphar and then into jail, and now he's the head of, second in command of the country of Egypt. It begins, I'll read some in the Greek, and then we'll go through the chapter. Idon they Yaakov oti esti situ prasis in Aegypto, ipe prostus ios avtu, inati mathimite, idu akikoa oti esti sitos in Aegypto. And Jacob, Yaakov, seeing that there is grain, situ, we have parasite, the site by a grain for sale in Egypt. Somehow he heard about it, and he said to his sons, "Why are you lazy? Behold, I've heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down and buy for us a small amount of food so we should live and not die." So it shows that he was in charge of these guys. Now, all of these men now are in their 40s, 50s, so maybe 60. But yet the father is still in charge of all of these sons. Why are you lazy? Do something. Behold. So, and the brothers of Joseph went down the 10 to buy grain from Egypt. They did what the father says. But Benjamin, the young brother of Joseph, that was the younger one from Rachel, his blood brother from mother and father, he was not sent with his brothers. For Jacob said, for he said, lest at any time should come to pass to him an infirmity. And the sons of Israel came to buy with the ones coming. So all kinds of people must have been going to Egypt to get the money, to get the food, because they knew there was food there. For the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the ruler of the land. He sold to all the people of the land. And the brothers of Joseph coming and did obeisance to him upon their face upon the ground. That's what obeisance is, your face is upon the ground. That's what the King James called worship. And Joseph, seeing his brothers, recognized, and he alienated himself from them and spoke to them hard. Now he had the looks of an Egyptian. They had all this black makeup on their eyes, the hat, clothes, and a lot of makeup and so forth. So they didn't recognize him. And apparently in this period of time, he learned enough Egyptian that he didn't speak to them in Hebrew or anything. He was speaking Egyptian. And we see later that he put a translator between him and the brothers. And Joseph, said to them, well, from what place have you come? And they said, from out of the land of Canaan to buy foods. And Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. And Joseph remembered his dreams, which he himself saw. So he's thinking back now of when he was younger, and all these things of them bowing down, and here they are. And it must have been quite a spiritual upheaval in him to see this happening exactly as he was dreaming. And we see later that he attributes this all to God. And he said to them, "You are spies to study the tracks of the place in which you have come." Now we have the cat and mouse game, which is being played out, with Joseph being the cat and the 10 brothers being the mice. And they said, "No, Lord, your servants came to buy foods. We are all sons of one man. We are peaceable. Your servants are not spies." And he said to them, "No, but you came to see the tracks of the land." And they said, "Well, your servants are 12 brothers in the land of Canaan. And behold, our younger brother is with our father today, and the other does not exist." And Joseph said to them, "This is what I have said to you, saying that you are spies. In this you shall appear exposed by the health of Pharaoh. In no way should you go forth from here if your younger brother should not come here. You send one from you and bring your brother, but you let be taken away until your sayings become apparent if you are truthful or not. But if not, by the health of Pharaoh, assuredly you are spies." And he put them in prison 3 days. So these guys are all coming there to buy food, and they end up in jail. And he said to them, in the 3rd day, calls them back, and "You do this, and you shall live." So he changes it a little bit. "For I fear God." Now, he didn't say what God, but God. They probably thought Ra, the God of Egypt, not their God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he continues, "If you are peaceable, let one of your brothers be held in the prison, but you yourselves proceed and take back the purchase of your provision." So instead of all of them staying, it was just one. "And you lead your younger brother to me, and I will believe your sayings. But if not, you shall die." And they did so. All go back. And said each to his brother, "Oh, yes, nay, or oy vey, for we are in sins on account of our brother, for we overlooked the affliction of his soul when he besought us. And we did not listen to him, and because of this affliction came upon us." And Reuben answering said to them, "Did I not speak to you, saying you should not wrong the lad? And you hearken not to me? And behold, his blood is required." And they knew not that Joseph heard, for the translator was between them. And turning from them, Joseph wept. So he's touched by, now they realize they did something wrong, finally, but it affects Joseph. And again, it reminds me of Joseph weeping and for emotional things of what causes us to weep. And Jesus wept at when Lazarus was going to be raised from the dead. And again, he came forward to them. So he must have went in another room and cried. And he spoke to them. And he took Simeon from them, and he tied him before them. So he's standing there, tie him up. And Joseph gave charge to fill up their containers of grain, and to give back their silver to each in his sackcloth, and to give them provisions for the journey. So he's actually taking care of them. You can see him softening up now. Otherwise, he would have had them killed. And it became to them thus. And placing the grain upon their donkeys, they went forth from there, all 9 of them. And one, untying his bag to give fodder to his donkeys where they rested, then saw his bundle of silver, for it was upon the mouth of the bag. And he said to his brothers, "The silver is given back to me. Behold, This is it, and it's in my bag. And it startled their hearts, and they were disturbed with one another, saying, "Oh, what is this God did to us?" Couldn't understand why. They might, wondering why they're getting the money. Is it, are they going to get blamed? And they came to Jacob, their father, in the land of Canaan, so they would get back. And they reported to him all the things coming to pass to them, saying, "Well, the master of the land, spoke to us hard. He put us in prison as spying out the land. And we said to him, 'We are peaceable, and we are not spies. 12 brothers we are, sons of our father. The one does not exist, and the younger is with our father today in the land of Canaan.' And the master of the land, said to us, 'By this I will know that you are peaceable. You leave one of your brothers here with me, and the purchase of the provision for your house having taken, go forth. And you lead to me your younger brother. And I shall know that you are not spies, but that you are peaceable. And I will give back to you your brother, and you trade in the land.' And it happened in their emptying their sackcloths, all of them, and there was in each a bundle of silver in the sackcloth. And they saw the bundles of their silver to them and the one of their father. So he must have had another one for the father. And they feared. What's going on? And Jacob their father said to them, 'You're making me childless. Joseph is not, Simeon is not, and will you take Benjamin? Upon me all these things happen. Oy vey.' And Reuben said to his father, saying, 'The 2 sons of mine you may kill if I do not lead him to you. You give him into my hand, and I will lead him to you.' And Jacob said, 'My son shall not go down with you, for his brother died, and he alone is left behind. And suppose it shall come to pass that he be infirm in the way, whichever you should go, and you will lead me in old age with distress into Hades.'" Now, he's upset. What's going on here? Well, this is all we find out about in this chapter. We'll have to wait to the chapter 43, our next video seminar, to find out what Jacob and the brothers and everybody does about the situation they're not now in, with the food back, the money back, but one brother less, and Jacob being upset. And Reuben saying that he'll bring the brother back. He'll take Benjamin. We'll find out about that next video. I hope you join us. And until then, God bless.